it's about untold stories and about utilising platforms and kind of taking a bit of social responsibility, and the audience as well. Because like if you've got an audience that you care about and an audience that you're trying to work with rather than against, I think that's when you kind of get the special moments, and it can be really nice. Hello, my name is Phoebe Byrne. I am a theatre maker from Clydebank, and I'm a co-founder of SKELF Theatre Co. This is a video about how I started my emerging theatre company and how we continued on that journey to put things in place to get to where we are now. So I remember calling my mum, and like I vividly remember being like, I really want to do drama lessons, like I want to learn more about theatre. And she called me back like an hour later and she was like, okay, I've got you like a free trial of this place, you can like see if you like it. I went and it just like stuck. Through that, kind of figured out that I wanted to try and do this as a career. So then when I was leaving school, decided to go to college and study acting. The summer that we did start SKELF was the summer that we left youth theatre, and we realised that it was the first summer or time in years that we weren't actually working on something. We recognised that there weren't any existing projects for people who were at our stage in the game, where we were still in training, but we were also at that emerging artist point as well. And we felt like, you know, we had like a good like bank of work beneath us and we were ready to start creating, but there just wasn't really anywhere to do that. We were getting to choose the work that we were putting on, and it could be about the things that we found interesting or that we found important. And that's kind of where the idea started. SKELF Theatre Co is a collaborative theatre company, getting people involved in a way that's really cyclical and on like a skill sharing basis. Say you come on board as like a director or something, then maybe in the next show you might try your hand at performing, or you would have something that you've written and want to put on. Giving people those first opportunities to do something. Now that we are at the point that we're writing our own work and creating our own work, because we've been working together so long, a lot of the work is still kind of the same feeling and the same ilk, even though we're exploring really different subject matters. And it's a little bit dark, it's a little bit taboo, it's a little bit edgy, it's trying to push boundaries, and it's trying to tell stories that you maybe don't hear all the time, but that deserve a platform. We knew from the get-go that the name was going to be really important, and we didn't want to pick something that we were going to hate in 5 years. We knew that we wanted something Scottish, but also something quite blunt. We also liked beyond that there's a lot of imagery that you can associate with that, and we kind of developed the tagline under your skin as well from that, which we all just really loved. Our most recent production was a show called The Seagull Not That One, which was written by myself and my friend John. And then after doing that initial run, we knew that we really wanted to try and take it to a fringe. Edinburgh Fringe can be quite inaccessible, I think, for a lot of emerging artists, just because of the kind of associated cost. And there are so many other fringe festivals out there, and Prague's a really cost-effective one, and it's one that you can do on a smaller budget, and it's not going to totally break the bank. We took the show to Prague and done the full week run, and it was a total hit. Like, it went way better than I think any of us had expected it to go. Like, we thought it would be successful because we'd done the run in Glasgow, but it really exceeded our expectations, I think. And we managed to come home with a couple of Prague Fringe Awards as well. I think that a lot of people get put off maybe trying to take their shows international because they think that it might be really specific to their community or their town or their city, especially if you're writing Scottish work. Like, we think that it's very specific to us, and a lot of it is, but a lot of it's really translatable as well. A lot more people related to the work than we thought would. The fact that it was set in Glasgow, and it really was Glasgow-centric, and it was about that community and the kind of sense of social decay and isolation in that community, it was really translatable in Prague, and we found a lot of people spoke to us about that. I think because it's such a melting pot for culture and people come from all over the world, we're seeing a lot of work that was on maybe at like American festivals, or there were artists there from Ukraine who were putting on work in preparation for the first Ukraine Fringe, and we just got to meet so many interesting people. Well, 3 of us knew each other from going to youth theatre together. So that would be me, Cami and Ariana. Cami and myself met Sophie when we went to college. So when me and Cami wanted to put on a 2-hander, we're putting out feelers to try and find a director, and we didn't know anyone our age who was directing really at that point. We were just kind of in acting circles and we didn't know many directors or people who were trying it out or that had an interest in it. Our friend Ariana said that she would really like to give directing a go, and then when we were speaking about this idea and Sophie was there, she said she would also really like to give directing a go, so they decided it would be really good for them if they could co-direct together for their first stab at it, just to kind of learn what's right and wrong from each other. And we were just like, well, it's a company now. It can be a nice, safe environment to do that, and when you're working with people who understand that this is your first time having a go at it and they can really support that. From them, we've worked with other performers, we've had people in for development days, we've worked with sound designers, people in marketing. For us, it just is about giving those opportunities to people who want to do it for the first time, and it's good because you can kind of support each other in those networks. So, you know, oftentimes when you are trying to start a company, you're working with your peers. So it's people who do want to just get the experience at first and get that under their belt before they start kind of branching out and doing it in other places. I think we just all had our hearts in the same place, to be honest, and we really held a lot of the same values and ethics when it came to theatre. When everyone's on that same page, it becomes really easy, and it was almost really obvious that we should have been doing this together. Because we've always been able to listen to each other and grow together, it's meant we've been able to grow the company together as well and kind of work out what that's going to mean to us down the line too. The kind of people you want to be working with need to be good listeners, they need to be good collaborators, they need to be able to take on feedback as well as offer their own ideas. Ultimately, you need to just be a bit of a go-getter. Like, you need to know what's going on in the kind of theatre circuit around you and be aware of what opportunities there are for you. And I think it's people like that who kind of are able to climb the ladder a little bit quicker. Like, you need that awareness. Our first production was in 2018 and it was a two-hander called Pretty Pieces by Charles Robertson. It was quite a dark show, honestly, for a first one. It was pretty dark, but at the time it felt right and it was kind of what we were going for, and we realised that maybe other companies who were just starting out weren't really looking at that kind of work, so we wanted to do something a bit different. When it comes to putting on a piece of work and you've got no money, that is a challenge in itself. For this show, we kind of like begged, bartered and borrowed for a lot of things, and getting the playwrights was surprisingly one of them, because we thought we were just gonna have to pay outright for that. And, you know, done the thing where you email the person to get the rights, and the writer actually got back to us, and we'd kind of given him a bit of background about what we were doing and who we were. He'd said that his mother was from Glasgow and was also a working class creative, and because of like our story and what we'd put forward to him, he actually wanted to give us the rights for free. Like, it was so nice. From the get-go, there was someone on the other side of the world like rooting for us before we'd even put on our first piece of work. People want to help you out and people want to share resources. You just need to find the right people. But when we were starting out again, when we had like a little bit less money behind us because we hadn't had that previous like run of work to give us a little starting boost, it really is just about utilising the connections you have around you and like being able to work in partnership with people. Start small, start realistic, get a cast of 2 or 3 people together. It doesn't have to be a huge ensemble chorus piece for your first show. It can be something really simple. You can learn a lot by creating simple work. We were very aware from the start that if we were going to do this, we had to be careful with money because we didn't have much of it. We were quite strict with budgets from the get-go, which I think was very valuable, and we've learned a lot about budgeting from that, and we're kind of still building on that knowledge. Sort of the spirit of like poor theatre in the work that we were making, and it almost became a stylistic choice. It's a bit more of a creative challenge, right? If you have a bigger budget, it's not as challenging and you don't really have to think outside the box. But you know, like we've created whole sets from masking tape and paint. Like, you don't need a lot to create something that's visually interesting. I think we've had 2 big changes. The first is that we stopped using existing text and like applying for rights for that, which 1 saved us money, but 2 also gave us the creative freedom to write the work and devise the work and actually make the work that we wanted to put on, and it could be really specific to what we wanted to do. It also allowed us to start engaging with writers as well, and people who we maybe wouldn't have worked with before on that capacity. The second biggest change is that at first when we were working together, we were kind of bringing people in on like almost like a contractual basis, you know, like people we were interested in working with, they would come in for a project, maybe they would be involved in the next project, maybe they wouldn't, but the four of us were kind of the key members of that. We've come to accept that, you know, the four of us are really busy people, and as we've grown up, you know, we've moved, and geographically and metaphorically as well, you know, like we're busy doing different things, and we still touch base a lot, and we still talk about our ideas to each other, and if we want to float something, it is that key four that we kind of run things by, creating multiple pieces of work at once, and it doesn't need to be like a sole focus on one project. I feel like this company is my baby at this point. Like there is like nothing I wouldn't do to keep it going. I just like look a bit further down the line and into the future, and I know that this is what I want to do is like my full-time job, and it's not just a passion project, which it isn't, and I don't view it that way, but I know a lot of people outside of what we're doing maybe would view it that way, because we're not doing this in a paid capacity. Everything I'm doing outside of that, I'm only doing it to bring back into SKELF, and that's what keeps me motivated with it. We were all working on other things at the same time as doing the Seagull. It was just about being realistic with our time and our timelines. Some of these larger organizations that are working on professional performances, they're able to do a 2-week rehearsal period and then put on a tour or put on a run. But when you're working on something part-time or in the evenings or around full-time work, you need to be realistic with your timelines. So then we started looking at getting a creative team on board with it. And I think, you know, you do just need to look around, because you will have people who are more than capable of doing the job around you, and either you just don't know it yet or they don't know it yet. Finding a rehearsal space is really your next big one. You do just need an empty room. Take what's available to you and like run with it. We always do like a post-show debrief, and that's mostly just to cover, you know, what went well during the process. We're quite good at communicating throughout, if I find, but you know, if there was something that was communicated that maybe the action wasn't taken to try and fix things, or maybe it didn't work, the approach to fix an issue we were having, like the debrief process at the end is just a good opportunity to bring anything like that up, as well as celebrate the work you've done. Like it's definitely like a joyous thing, and it's a celebration. It's not like a, oh, we done this wrong, we need to be 10 times better at that next time. It's that, but it's also like taking pride in the work that you've done and the fact that you made it to the other end. Having that debrief to celebrate, but also to grow and learn and collect feedback is useful, and it gives you more ideas on what you would do differently next time, or how you might approach a new project in those initial stages the next time, as well as in the output, because it really does all start at that choosing the play and getting the people together in that process, and how prepared and organised you can get during that time for the end. Our next piece of work that we're working on is a play called Three's a Crowd by one of our co-founders, Sophie Michelle. It's about 3 girls in Glasgow exploring the lesbian community in Glasgow and other parts of LGBT culture, and it's looking at queer relationships. It's very different from anything we've done so far, but I think that's what makes it really exciting. Thank you for watching this video by Scottish Youth Theatre. If you would like, you can follow SKELF Theatre Co on social media, which will be linked below, to keep up with what we're doing. Make sure to subscribe to Scottish Youth Theatre on this channel and follow them on their other platforms to keep up to date with what they're doing on Dialogue and their other projects. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like or a share, and you can comment down below what other topics you'd like us to cover in Dialogue.